Boop, boop, boop. Oh, okay. So we are live. Good evening, ladies and germs. My name is Nick Monroe, and I don't have a Twitter account anymore. So I'm depending on Caleb's Caleb Prime's audience of 7,000 plus people to basically broadcast to. I thank you for that platform. In return, we'll have my platform of this YouTube channel. And Caleb here is famous for basically being a Venezuelan and just being honest. Uh,
what can I say? I guess that's what I am.
how would you introduce yourself? Like, what do you define as you, Caleb? Let's start with that.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm an average Venezuelan because I kind of always been some kind of a social outcast and all of that, and not a normie. I've never been a normie if I were to describe myself. And I just wanted to play video games. Too bad my country went to shit, and the things that happen with my family and my mother and everything. It's just
Yeah,
one tragedy after another, and I mean, in the end, all I wanted to do was play video games. That's all.
dude, that basically ripped my heart out of my chest, and I was just like so sad about your situation. But then I realized how much I realized how powerful you are at basically showing the world your situation because of it. So in that sort of sense, I think you know, I maybe it will help get your message out to the world more.
Yeah, I suppose that's the least I can do. I guess I'm not a politician. I'm just an average guy, just a guy.
And when I was reviewing for, tonight, I basically was trying to read all the media articles I could, but then I just kind of stopped. And I saw that I had a better understanding of what was going on from reading your Twitter feed and your website posts, basically giving me the rundown of your country. And I found that fascinating. Like, how are you still held together as a country in Venezuela? Like, why haven't you just collapsed yet? Is my first question.
Yes, everyone asks me how the fuck has things not collapsed yet. But the truth is that it's due to a series of things. You have on one side of it, you have the government, which has consolidated all power. They have absolute power. They control everything and anything in this country. You do not have an opposition. You have nobody to oppose them, and the current opposition leadership has is and will always be an ongoing joke. They continue to collaborate with the government as long as they get a slice of shit. Even if they get a slice of shit, they're happy keeping the status quo. And you also have the military, but the military will keep the government together. As long as the government keeps the military happy, the military will continue to support the government, and they are one and another now. A considerable amount of power resides in the military. A considerable amount of the government's power is in the military's hands now. And then you have to also add external factors due to the fact that we basically owe China at least half the country now, and Russia owns so many things from us now. And well,
So you guys are just bathing in oil all the time?
we are what?
Bathing in oil?
We don't even have access to the riches of the oil anymore. That was the whole promise of the socialist regime, was to put the power on the hands of the people, put the riches of the oil in the hands of the people, and we don't even have that anymore. So
I guess that brings me to my next question. Like, walk us through a day in your life. Like, from when you wake up to when you go to bed, what the hell do you do?
my mother passed away recently, so I'm trying to readjust my life. But before that, I will always make sure that she had everything. She had her meds. You make sure that she was okay, and then you have to add the fact that I have my mandatory bread lines. If I want to eat bread, I have to do my bread lines like everyone else.
Tell
And
me more about these bread lines real quick. Like,
yeah,
what the hell is a bread line?
well, there's there's a severe amount of shortage in supplies, flour, and things. So bakeries have to Bakeries have a very limited amount of bread per day, if at all, if they have in at any given day. So you're basically doing your bread line. You see you start to learn if when does your local bakery serve bread. Let's say 3 p.m. for example. So you start lining up around 2:30 to make sure that you get your bread. And it's not like you can buy all the bread you want. You may sometimes you can buy three, sometimes you can buy two. It depends.
So it, it goes against the narrative of what I've read. Like one of your former politicians or whatever said, you guys need to eat less. But then you look at another headline, it says you guys are becoming basically starving and famished.
Well, eating less. I mean, you can't find anything, and the things you can find are sort of absurdly expensive, and that there's basically nothing to eat.
To that end, I saw this one article. It says in Venezuela, hungry child gangs use machetes to fight for quality garbage. Is this bullshit or is this true?
No, it
Like,
is true. It's true. I mean,
what? Like,
I, I, I mean,
have you seen it?
I haven't seen it personally, but I have seen too many children eating from the garbage. I mean, all I have to do is walk out of my apartment, walk a few steps, and every afternoon you'll see children or adults scavenging through the garbage, finding something to eat. It's heart crushing, but it's happening.
And that's what really just fascinates me about your country. Like, this stuff is happening, and like the rest of the world is like not giving a fuck, and it really disturbs me a bit, actually.
Yeah, I know. And the other part of it with the whole hunger and food shortages is that the government played their cards right, and they have basically weaponized the whole hunger with the whole uh, subsidized hunger boxes that they send every few and then. So even in that, they have found a way to control them through hunger and starvation.
And that's another interesting thing about this, and it's something you mentioned a lot in the articles in your blog. You mentioned how your government is in denial about calling this a humanitarian issue. What does
Yeah,
that mean? Like, exactly?
because if they eventually declare that there is actually get off their fucking high horse and admit that there is indeed a health crisis here, a humanitarian health crisis, it will be first, it will be an admission of their defeat as a whole, and secondly, uh, yeah, pretty much it would be an admission that they have failed, and they don't want to admit the fact that they actually failed at this. It's really, I mean, I'm already beyond words. I already lost my mother, and I've seen too many people suffering because there's no meds. I myself, I am taking expired meds for my thyroid. That's the only thing I could find. And every day, every week, you see more cases of people dying because they didn't have access to the basic and most simplest of meds. They no longer have access to treatments, dialysis. Transplant recipients are dying because there's no longer meds, and they're starting to reject their transplanted organs and everything. And at this point, they will actually say in front of your face, if you ask them, that there is no crisis. I mean, calm the fuck down. What I've experienced in the past month, I mean, I will never forget when you see sick people in hospitals in the floor because there's not even a bed to put them. People sleeping in cardboard boxes because there's not even a single bed. I almost got into a fight with a nurse because of a wheelchair. I was asking for a wheelchair for my mother, and I almost got into a fight because of it.
You're free
In
to
a
go into that as much as
inside
you
a
want.
hospital, actually, inside a hospital. I mean, and my mom's last day, the last day before she passed away, they were doing some X-rays, and the machine was so damaged and so derelict that I had to help unstuck it. I mean, come on.
Do you want to just like go through what happened in your mom's last days?
Well, it's a bit of a touchy subject or whatever.
Yeah,
I,
as much
I'm,
as
I'm
you're
still
comfortable with.
I'm still going through it every night. My mind's still going through all that happened because I know she wasn't in the best of health conditions. I tried so many embassies. I contacted every single embassy that I could find. I contacted every single organization across the globe, not just in Latin America, but in the whole fucking planet. And most of them didn't even reply to me. Some of them even declined giving me this information to see if I could get some humanitarian help for my mom. And well, the last
Wait,
week, yeah,
you're saying they lied to you?
many of them told me no. I mean, I still have some of the emails in my inbox. The German embassy said they couldn't help her because she's not a German citizen. But I mean, refugees welcome, right? They
Ugh.
could, yeah. I have the fucking email with the name and the person that said to me those words.
Thank God I have beer, because holy shit, I'd be more mad right now.
Well, the Canadian embassy also declined my request for help. But then I found out that the office that actually handles that sort of things here closed some time ago. So they're
Damn.
yeah, yeah.
What about Brazil? Like, what's the situation with
I
refugees going
I
there?
I never got a response from Brazil, and I tried so many organizations from Brazil and got nothing.
Motherfucker.
Yeah,
Oh,
I know.
yeah, but yeah, if you want to just let it off your chest, man, go ahead. I mean,
I
there's
mean,
no really
I
any script here. Go for it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I know that the past month was a bit rocky for her. I mean, she had to get blood transfusions and they had to drain the liquids from her and everything. Because I mean, I guess she fought hard. I mean, what can you do when you cannot find all the chemos that you need, all the treatments, all the meds? I mean, she fought as hard as she could, and the last week she had a bit of a rocky health. She was no longer able to go to the bathroom on her own. I had to help her every time. And that last day, I mean, it started like every other normal day. I mean, I woke up in the morning, check up on her. I made her breakfast. I helped her with her meds and everything, just like every regular day. But I bought lunch actually. I asked her what she wanted to eat. If she wanted some pasta or I don't know. Let's. She said like let's buy hot dogs. So which kind of surprised me because she was never a fast food connoisseur, so to speak. She was never fond of them. And well, we ate our last lunch together. We had no idea that it would be our last lunch. She spent the whole afternoon resting, and around 7 p.m. I woke her up because we don't get running water every day. So the
Hmm.
days we don't get water, our building rations the little tank we have for all of us. So we only get like 1 hour of water here, 1 hour of water there, and we kind of we have kind of adapted our lives to the whole shortcomings of the fucking country now. That's our problem. We are very adaptable, but to the point of just resigning to live like this as a whole. So I woke her up and asked her if she wanted to eat something else or if she wanted to help with showering, right?
Hmm.
So she said, "No, no, let's just make my dinner, but help me go to the bathroom." Like, all right, and in fact, I help her with my brother to go to the bathroom, and when we are taking her to the bathroom, that's when she started to lose consciousness. And I tried I started to go desperate, man. I mean, I talked to her and she wasn't replying. She was replying things that had nothing to do with what I was asking. So at that point, I called my uh, I called my family. I called her doctor friends and started asking for help, like a desperate son.
How
So
how
we,
close are they?
huh?
Like how close by were they? Like, do you all live together in a community sort of thing, or were they like
Kind
farther away?
kind of like that, but somewhat close, close enough. So by the time that I put we they helped me put her in the car. I went with some of my family. I ran as fast as I could on her car, on her vehicle, going to the hospital. And the rest is well, the the whole fucking everything that happened. When I mean, and 1 hour, 1 day later, she was dead because the cancer overtook her liver and started to spread. bunch of toxicity around her whole body. So her whole body just collapsed. It was-
Yeah, I know that must have been very hard for you, man.
I know, man. And
You gave your 110% to basically try and get your mother out of there, and you shouldn't feel bad because you tried, man.
yeah, yeah, I know. But at least she's in a better place now. She's away from all this fucking disaster at last. It was really hard, man. I mean, 3 years fighting against med shortages, against lines trying to find even a fucking painkiller.
And I find
I
it
had
really odd that she's a very, very well qualified doctor by the sounds of it.
yeah. I mean, I don't like saying her name a lot, but if I were to give you her name, you could Google her yourself. I mean, she was the president of the Venezuelan Society of Anesthesiologists, the pain management chapter of it. She gave conferences across the globe. She even went to America once and gave a conference. Went to Mexico. Uh, You can name the country, and she went. She went with for medical reasons, for work reasons, and I mean, she was definitely smarter than me, and she had like 6 medical degrees and everything.
Wow, holy
Yeah,
moly! Like, I find it interesting because it, given your circumstances and of the health system, like someone who, their mother who wasn't a, a doctor of your mother's caliber, like, would they have had it worse?
probably because I mean, I got help. Let's face it, I got help because she was very well known in the hospital, and even though she worked there for 16 years, I had trouble finding even a wheelchair for her when I gave her a blood transfusion. They have to give her a blood transfusion.
Jesus
They,
Christ,
they didn't
man!
even they didn't even have a wheelchair available for her that night,
Oh my God!
and
Like,
that was the very same hospital she worked for 16 years. Now you can imagine if any regular person has an emergency, you can.
oh man, I guess that brings me to my next question. When was Venezuela okay and not a meme bordering on not even funny enough to be a meme?
I would probably say 20 years ago, maybe. Mm, up to perhaps 2002, from what I remember.
I think of it like Iraq in the Middle East back in the 60s, right before the wars hit, and, with all the oil stuff going on over there and all that, tearing the country apart. What was it like in Venezuela?
Well, I grew up with stories that my grandmother used to tell me that back in the days, I mean, she wasn't rich. We have never been a rich family by any means. But even though she was just a simple nurse, she managed to raise 6 children on her own. And she used to tell me stories that back in the day she didn't even have to bother to lock her house because nobody had malice. Nobody had the malice to even dare to rob from another person. And my mom used to tell me that back in the days, I mean, she could buy with mere coins, she could buy like 50 pieces of bread, of small breads. Nowadays, you can't even find bread at all. I mean,
Oh yeah, and I remember reading on one of your articles the price of a Nintendo Switch seemed like astronomical compared to bread. Like your money system is something else, man. Like the way you compared it to like WoW Gold.
I mean, come on. When I made that tweet, went viral. I mean, I think that's the whole thing that started this for me. Just
Mhm.
an innocent tweet about WoW Gold being more worth more than Venezuelan Bolivar. At 1 year ago, that was around back in July or so, they were at least very equal in value. They have reached a parity, right?
Oh yeah.
But right now, a single WoW gold is worth 50 times more than a Bolivar.
So like with one piece of WoW Gold, how much shit can I buy in Venezuela?
Right now, not much because due to hyperinflation and everything. But oh, let's say your average repair fees, if you are a person rating in WoW,
Hmm.
the average repair fees per night probably enough for a lunch or at least a snack here
Jesus.
nowadays. Yeah,
So basically, if someone had a decent WoW account, they could basically make a feasible living out of themselves in Venezuela.
I mean, before I started evaking, like for real, that was my my way of sustenance in this country, man.
Jesus
Was
Christ.
selling WoW Gold was more profitable for me than it is now more profitable than actually going to a work. There's places where people are simply quitting because it's no longer worth it to work there. Why are you going to work 8 hours per day when all you are going to earn is $1, $2 tops per month?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like one of my interests in this conversation. Like, I want to see like what it's like when the basic infrastructure of a country is basically about ready to collapse, and Venezuela is pretty much sounds like it.
Yeah, man. People are quitting left and right. I mean, going back to that hospital, they were telling me people were telling me that a bunch of even the people that operate the elevators, because the elevators in that hospital don't no longer have a functional call button, right? You have to yell. The floor where I had to yell that I was like saying the third floor, so the elevator would hopefully hear me and come pick me up.
So they had like an elevator guy, basically.
Yeah, yeah, they have, but even those people are quitting now because
Sheesh.
the administrative staff has to operate the elevators because everything and everywhere is severely understaffed because everyone's quitting and leaving left and right.
Yeah. Wow, you have a lot of fans in the chat. Like, I mean, just ratio wise, like everyone's here just, cheering you on, man.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. I mean, I was overwhelmed with all the messages the day my mom died, and I think that's what's keeping me with strength right now because one
How
day
how
one
you
day
doing?
I'm recovering from chickenpox. I got chickenpox. I started with the fever, the symptoms one day after my mom was buried. But
Damn it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, my face is a mess. I mean, if I were to show my face right now, it'd be an embarrassment with all the spots.
I
But
bet
that,
you would be beautiful.
yeah, yeah, I look like a fucking moon with all the craters right now. But 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 at least I'm starting to heal now. Even the ones in my body have started to heal. But
Oh yeah, and another thing I wanted to talk about is like I read the article about how the media takeover happened in your country, and I guess that's part of the reason why you are such a standout is because your government has such a monopoly over the media and broadcasting.
yeah, they use a considerable amount of the oil bonanza in establishing the whole media empire. The propaganda here, man, they already lost all sense of shame and subtlety. It's all fucking it's so fucking open, like the whole propaganda, the whole cult of personality. This is like mini North Korea now.
Actually, yeah, like I was watching the embedded video you had in that article about the media, and I was just like, holy shit, this is Big Brother right here. This is the end result. I mean, you basically are living in the next to a dictatorship, if not
You
a
you
dictatorship.
can you can search right here in YouTube. You can search for VTV Señal en Vivo. That's the live stream from the state TV, and just watch it for a day, and you'll be amazed, man. You'll be amazed at how sickening it has become.
And I can't believe these Westerners and their hipster bullshit with the Starbucks and all that. I laughed at the swapakami idea.
I mean, let's make it a reality, man. This
Tell me
will
how
be.
that came about.
To be honest, the real truth about it, I was going through a fever and I was bored.
A
But
meme fever.
yeah, yeah. I made a simple logo. I mean, try to make it at least as presentable as possible, made a draft for the whole proposal, and it
So it was
went
your
from there.
idea.
Yeah.
It's fucking
Uh,
perfect.
I did made a poll on Twitter to finalize the name with that.
Hmm.
That was, so I started, let's take a bit, let's take the colors, red and blue, arrange the arrows a little bit, because I'm not a graphic designer. I've never That's never been my forte. I just make memes about a beautiful bald man and his $10, and that's it. That's as far as my Photoshop goes. But yeah. I mean, eventually somebody tried to copy my swapacome thing and make it a swapaclasscock, and since the left can meme, the commies can meme at all. It's like a Chinese bootleg copy of it. It didn't last for long because the arrows aren't even aligned. I mean, the
Yeah, the
graphic.
left can't meme.
All you have to put is graphic design is my passion, and it would be like one of those memes about it.
You could say his name, Matt Myers. It's not like Voldemort or something.
Well, man, I mean,
I don't understand how he became this sort of like religious figure to people.
it's the radiance that emanates from his beautiful bald head. A shining beacon for me in these troubling times, man.
Jesus. So yeah, you have like you're a man of ideas. I mean, that swapacami thing sends a message about the practical implications of socialism and what it's really like compared to the fever dream that these assholes in the West have. I would gladly send as many, yuppies as I could to Venezuela in exchange for, 10 guys and gals like you.
They would even make it past the airport, dude. I mean, for real, they wouldn't make it past the airport. And if they do, I would applaud them. I would applaud them if they manage to last at least a week here. I mean, you have water shortages, you have food shortages, you have power shortages. I'm in the capital, and I lost power for 10 hours last week. And
Jeez.
this is the most quote stable unquote region when it comes to electricity, because it's a center of power and everything.
So, like, we're not going to lose power in the middle of this conversation, are we?
No, hopefully not.
Yeah, explain how the hell we're even talking because I read your internet is like regulated too.
Yeah, the
Are
we
you
have
worried? Are you worried the government's watching this?
nah. Well, if they do, I suppose basis for me to claim asylum somewhere else, I guess. More for my case. But
Let
we
me
have
know.
we have the most used ISP here is CanTV. It used to be in the hands of Verizon up until 2007 when the government nationalized it, and it's been a mess ever since. It's been a complete and utter mess. It is the slowest internet in the region, probably one of the slowest internets in the world, and they heavily throttle people from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. So what I do, or what I had to do, is first and foremost I have to rewire everything because they're not gonna come and repair this. Uh,
Hmm.
I'll show a picture of this one of these days. I had to jury rig the whole cable, rewire everything, and I didn't have duct tape, so I used medical tape from my mother, and this is just a ghetto connection, but it
But you,
works. But it
but you're like
works.
MacGyver. You're
Yeah,
like MacGyver all up in that
I
shit.
had to MacGyver my internet cables. And what I do and what I try to teach people, because it's like an open secret, everyone knows it, but nobody really knows it, is that you have to spoof your MAC address every now and then to get out of the throttling,
You
and it
should like
works.
write a guide. Like how do you beat the system of Venezuela?
Yeah, man. When I escape, I'll write about all my experiences, man. But
Yeah,
but
you
I
mentioned
mean,
that.
nothing works the way it should. Even the internet, you have to work around everything. I
Kind of
mean,
like the Western countries of the world here, man.
it's not like I go. I buy my toilet paper from a contraband dealer.
Jesus Christ. Okay, how does
I bought.
contraband work? I gotta ask.
Okay, so because in every crisis there's opportunities. due to the shortages of everything, you have people that and take things like toilet paper, oil, and toiletries, you name it, everything. Because they take it from, I'm not gonna say where they take it from some place to another, etc. And it becomes it has become their business. I mean,
You,
people make more smuggling and reselling things like toilet paper than actually working a normal job here. That's how fucked up things have become.
I saw a bunch of your tweets, like they sell orange juice and vodka together or something.
No, because vodka has become so expensive that it's a supermarket nearby my house, so I keep track of the price of the ever increasing price of vodka. Because yeah, in 2014 or was it 15, I bought a bottle for 1,000 bolivars. Right?
Mhm.
That same bottle, 6 months later, it cost me 5,000. And right now, that bottle is going for more over 1 million. The same bottle.
Yeah, I'm reading some of your tweets. Like one of them says, bought 2 tea packs of tea sachets for 50K each, and now they're 350K. Like, does inflation happen that fast or something?
It's happening. When it happens so fast. You have no idea that it actually happened by the time you realize it.
I wrote in the description as a joke,
Like,
if people donate $1, that it will go a longer way even by the end of the sentence because of hyperinflation. But I was kind of kidding, but now I think I might have been accurate on accident.
I mean, I tried to make another, one of those Wogol Bolivar tweets, and the black market rates. Now there's 12 of them. When this all started, there was usually one, probably two tops, but now there's 12 of them. So when I was going to make the tweet, I'm like, what the fuck? Why are there so many rates now? And they keep increasing so rapidly that I just couldn't finish my tweet, man. I mean, I'm like, what the fuck, man? I don't even know what the fuck is happening anymore.
Okay,
I was off the loop for a few days because with the whole thing, my mother and then I got sick, so I was a bit off the loop of these things. But now that I'm starting to get back on track, and I'm like, what the hell happened during these days? I have no idea, man. If somebody can explain to me what the hell happened, why is everything going? Why is the black market rate going exponentially so high now? We are past 600,000 for a single dollar now.
so
Like,
when you say black market, is it this like a place?
not really a place because we since 2003 we do not have access to free access to foreign currencies. Like, it all has to go through the government if you want legit dollars.
Jesus.
So obviously that's a control system. Only the government and their bodies have access to it.
Hmm.
It's been one mess after another. Every time they rearrange it, it's for the wars, but it still benefits the government, of course. So people, the only real access to foreign currencies is done via black market. I mean, it operates with supply and demand.
I just like imagine this like very like shady dealer person with just like like a big trench coat jacket, and he just opens it up, and there's like just a bunch of like random money and toiletry items and shit like that, like just normal shit, not like guns or whatever, just like normal shit.
I mean, I buy my eggs in a makeshift alley nowadays because you can find eggs in supermarkets, but they're kind of expensive. But there was a period of time where you couldn't even find eggs because the government tried to regulate the price of eggs, and no one in their fucking mind is going to sell them at a loss.
Why do people stay in your country, man?
Um, uh, I will tell you, if people have the opportunity to flee, they would have fled by now. But it's hard. I mean, how can you manage? How can you expect to gather money to escape with your family when all you make is $1, $2 per month?
But like if they just wanted to fucking walk and just go, like would the
People,
government stop them from leaving?
not now, but People are doing it. Just look at the Colombian border. Every day you see people fleeing by the masses.
Okay, in America and like the Western world, we're kind of retarded when it comes to South America, really. So like just hearing about all this is really interesting.
Oh man, the stories I could tell, I
That's
could
why
go
we're
for.
here.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I could go for days and days. All the things that I've experienced.
You you say you're writing a novel of some kind. You want to tell me about that too?
It's a long time project of mine. I've always wanted to get into writing, but uh, I used to work at an embassy, and I would most of the time I would spend all my days writing, documents and that kind of stuff. So by the time I was back home, the least thing I wanted to do is sit down and open a word processor. Believe me. But it's a long project that I've been wanted to make for so long. It's fiction. It's fiction.
Hmm.
And it's kind of my idealized version of a modern superhero squad. Think Power Rangers or Kamen Rider, that kind
A team.
of something like that,
Hmm.
but less manly. I mean, more towards the Sentai kind of thing, modern Sentai squad, something like that. I'm I'm almost close to finishing the first draft, but with all the things that have happened, I have to put things on hold. But I'm slowly resuming my work, and it's like kind of like my passion. I mean, my passion, and I've actually put some of my experiences into it.
Really?
Instead of having a self-insert Mary Sue character, I've tried to put a little bit of myself in across a few characters. Some of their experiences are actually, even though it's idealized and more fantasious, some of the experiences are based on things I've experienced.
I think that would make it more powerful. Is it written in English or like
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to write it, even though my English isn't the best one. I mean, I'm speaking in a butchered English accent right now. I'm writing it in English, so.
you are really good at English? I mean, let's not bullshit here. You're good at it. How did you learn English in the first place? Like,
Back in the day when I used to live with my father, we were living nearby the oil fields, the oil plants in Falcon State. And back in the days, you could see a lot of Americans and foreigners working there. Back when the industry was, when things worked. And back in the days, they had their own satellites and things. So if you wanted to hijack their signal, all you had to do was put an antenna on top of your house, and you could catch some of the channels. So
it's fucking sweet.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You could. I had Disney Channel and some other TV channels, and I grew up watching cartoons in English and playing video games. That's how I kind of learned English on my own.
Okay, someone in
Like
the people in the
for,
chat are saying the Italian father and the black father. What do they
it's
mean?
it's my dad emigrated from Italy, and we all know Italians are black. So my black father. I'm half black. I'm half black because I'm half Italian. Uh,
Uh,
I mean, I don't know why people make such a fucking fuss about it. That oh my god, my European heritage because I am from Italy. My family is from Italy. I mean, calm the fuck down, man. I mean, they're blacks. If I can admit it with all that has happened to me, why can't they?
that's true, man. It's
I mean,
okay. Embrace your diversity.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I meme about it, but it's true. Italians are black.
Okay, so how the hell did you get into Gamergate? Like, I gotta know.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I've never been back when 2014. I've never been much of a social media. I never used Twitter a lot. This is the whole. I made my account back in 2009 just to help test a friend's website,
Mm.
and I've never used it that much. But I was I was observing when Gamergate started, and even though I never participated directly, I always kept an eye on it, and that's how I started to use Twitter. Thanks through it.
I was never in Gamergate either. Mm. We all know that's a lie.
No, no, I mean I wasn't, like a big figurehead or never. But I watched it. I watched it from the sidelines, and that's how I started using Twitter, I guess.
Yeah, this is the first time Nick has talked to Caleb on like a stream. Yeah.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
planned this a while back. I just hit him up. Like I saw he followed me or something, and then I was just like, "Hey, Caleb, I'm interested in your country." And so I asked him about if he wanted to come on a stream about it, and he's like, "Sure." And then his mom died, and that was like super tragic. So it kind of delayed it until now.
But then I got chickenpox, so
Yeah, and this is the first time I'm having a live stream, so I'm glad it's working out as smoothly as freaking possible. Like I am grateful that this first live stream has gone off without a hitch so far.
and I'm honored to be your first guest in all of this. I mean,
Oh yeah.
you never forget your first. You know what I say?
Buy me dinner first.
Oh baby.
I actually made like a thumbnail and everything too, so afterwards it'll look nice and fancy and all that.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
hmm So anyway, like, how the hell did you know what gaming culture even like was, considering like you know how it's so Western centric? Like, how did you get introduced to that sphere of things? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I My first console was an Atari. That was a hand-me-down for my older cousins, and that's kind of how I started with the whole video game thing.
What was your first? Mine was Spyro the Dragon.
No, no, my first console was an Atari 22. What was the name?
I mean,
2600.
video game. Like your first experience, being the
Yeah.
Mega Man.
Oh man, Mega Man is one of my favorite games. Then I had a hand-me-down NAS console with,
hmm
with Mario, Zelda, the core games. But my first actual console that was like for me, for my own, was a gift, a Christmas gift from. No, it was my Super Nintendo. That's was what I grew up with.
The good
Uh,
shit.
the good shit, yeah. I didn't have money to buy every single game, but I used to rent games. I mean,
How did that
uh,
work down there? Like, I know that the video game industry is fucking retarded when it comes to like South America importing.
yeah, yeah. Well, up until recently, things kind of worked. I mean, b- violent video games are banned in the country.
No fucking way.
Yeah, yeah,
What?
yeah. Yeah, yeah, violent video games. So, as an anecdote, when that was back in 2010 or so, some dumb shit law. All violent games and violent toys are banned in the country. But nowadays, people don't give a shit. But back in the days, it was kind of a big deal. And for example, if you were trying to sell God of War 3, which came in around that time,
Mhm.
you would say that you were selling God of Love or the Valdi Man's game. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You wouldn't actually name the game, but you had an idea. Like I said, we always have to work around things here.
It reminds me of this meme I saw. It was basically like the cover of Saints Row 2, but instead
Mhm.
of like the actual cover, it had two nuns rowing a boat, and they just call it Saints Row 2.
No, but yeah, I mean, from my personal experience, I used to rent a lot of Super Nintendo games because I didn't have money to buy them. I used to rent like every weekend or every 2 weekends. Like for example, a Link to the Past, I never owned it personally, but I used to rent it. But I could never finish it because some asshole would always delete my save file every time. And
Is it your brother?
no, 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 from the rental place, I have no idea who the fuck was it, but yeah, I mean, games like Mega Man. I grew up with that kind of thing, with those kind of games, Mega Man, Castlevania.
You should consider yourself fortunate because that is the way to experience the ye old video game, era, renting that shit. That you did it right. You did it, the best style of experience that was out there at the time. Now everyone just sits on their ass, buys everything from Steam, and we don't even
Mm,
own the games on Steam. They can take them back at any time. So
yeah.
Just cross your fingers and hope that.
Well, back in the days, the Nintendo Power had a Latin American version called Club Nintendo. It's more or less similar, but
Well,
uh,
Mario
Club,
looks Mexican anyway, so it's all good.
yeah, but yeah, that was my, before the internet, before that's how you could read about video games and stuff. So imagine my surprise when I was like 9 or 10 years old, and I learned that there was actually more consoles beyond Sega and Nintendo. When I went to a friend's house and he showed me his PlayStation, I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
Oh man,
Yeah. I mean, he
I
was
can
a
actually relate to this shit, like, but
he,
backwards. I
he,
was a PlayStation kid, and I would sneak over to my neighbor friend's house and play the shit out of their Super Nintendo. I mean, that's Nintendo 64 or whatever. I used to just be fascinated with Mario's castle. And just I can still
yeah.
remember that bitch of a mom the neighbor's kid had, and oh my god, she got so mad at me when I was dicking around on the Nintendo. My friend didn't mind. He said I could come over.
No, yeah, he was a rich fuck, and he had a bunch of consoles, and he showed me a PlayStation. I like, holy shit! I mean, come on, CDs, what the fuck? That's like a whole new world for me, and I go, damn. So, like a many years later, I had my own PlayStation with a mod chip because the console that's the easiest to pirate in this around these parts is the best console. That's how it works. That's why PlayStation and PlayStation 2 are still being sold. You can find games for it because it's so easy to pirate that it's kind of cheap for people to experience video games that way.
Well, yeah, someone in the chat is saying just use emulators. That's the way to go about it. I mean,
I mean,
if you don't give a
nowadays,
shit
yeah.
about like
Nowadays, yeah,
if you
yeah.
don't give a shit about laws, you can basically pirate an entire Wii U. I mean, the Dolphin has like every GameCube and Wii game, and
Yeah,
like Jesus, I don't know how Nintendo allows that shit to fly. Like, I bet that pisses them off.
yeah. They fucked up big time with the Wii U and 3DS. I do have a 3DS, and I have some custom firmware on it so I can play games and shit.
That's the way to go about it, man.
That's how it
Adapt to
goes.
survive.
That's how it goes around these parts, man. That's why you can. That's why people still buy PlayStation 2 games because they are cheap and it's still entertainment. I mean, it's still a valid form of video game.
I gotta ask, like, are you ever afraid that your government is gonna like kick down your door and take you away for being such, a prominent figure, just speaking freely?
There is a reason I speak most of these things in English, and that's why. Because with the whole anti-hate speech laws and everything that's going on, I'm at risk. I'm at risk of. There are things I can't say on Twitter because that would instantly get me in trouble, and I could get even 20 years in prison.
Yeah,
And I've said it before in Twitter, and I've said it before in other places. There are things I can't openly speak here. Once I'm out of the country, once I'm away from all this, yeah, I can. There's
are there things you want to say?
there are things I want to say, but I can't because I risk getting arrested for hate speech. And hate speech is such a malleable term that
You don't
whenever.
have to tell me. My buddy Martin Sellner is in some prison somewhere in London, Luton, England. He's in a detention center because he was gonna go be at an identitarian conference and stuff, and the government said we don't like your values, so we're gonna detain you again.
Jesus. Well, the government actually arrested two priests here recently because of the same thing, because of hate speech.
So how long was that hate speech shit going on, like in terms of development? When did it first come up? I'm trying to
Uh,
figure out how long of a timeline we have here in the West before we're fucked.
Around a year ago, the government had the brilliant idea of enacting a constituent assembly during the protests. A constituent assembly is an almighty Congress that's beyond Congress, beyond the president, beyond everything. They have the power to rewrite the constitution. They have the power to do whatever the fuck they want. and obviously they are all of them in the government's hands. So one of the first laws they passed was the anti-hate speech law, which says that any form of messages that you say, even if in any form of media, can get you in trouble because you cannot speak hateful messages anymore.
Hmm.
Anything that calls to protest, anything related to violence, protesting, that kind of things. That's all hate speech now. And even websites, if you publish something, you have to delete it within 6 hours, or they will block that website from the whole country.
I have to ask, just for the people in the chat, let me know and make sure the audio is okay. Like, this is my first time, and I just want to make sure everything's kosher.
No,
You
no, it's
know,
fantastic. It's fantastic, dude. I mean,
good,
yeah, yeah.
good. But yeah, so 6 hours is like. So, have you ever gotten a warning saying take down this fucking meme, or else we'll knock down your door in 6 hours?
No, not yet. Thankfully, I mean, if I suddenly disappear, you know why. But
Let me know, and then I'll
uh,
make sure people know as best as I can without my fucking Twitter account.
thanks, Jack. I mean,
I don't know if I'm gonna get my Twitter account back. I think I am after like a week, but if not, I have a number I can call that takes me to the California District Attorney to basically say, "Give me my fucking account back."
well, man, I hope you get it back
Yeah, me
soon.
too.
Hmm.
But anyway, this is about you. This isn't about me. So, for everyone watching, what do you want them to know about Venezuela the most? It can be anything we've even talked about so far. Like, just, you know, what do you want to tell them and the world about your situation?
What I want to say?
Yeah, go for it.
Well, I'm speaking right now as somebody that lost his mother because I couldn't find meds for proper treatment for her in this country. I have to take care of my brother now, and he's kind of autistic. He's not completely autistic, but he has his nuances and has disabilities. And I always been like his father. And I'm speaking like somebody that wants to save him from all this. I'm really imploring you right now because I don't have any other options. If you know of a place where I can go, any information that you can give me, how the hell do I escape this fucking nightmare? Yeah, everything helps, man. I'm not even asking for money right now. I'm just asking for information and possibly a job so I can get the hell out of here and build a future for me and for my brother, and finish my book and all that stuff, publish it, and become some sort of reverse Rowling that actually does things instead of complaining on Twitter.
Mm.
That's all I want to do, man. Just be a force of good in in this world. That's how I was raised.
And
That's all I want.
I read that in your blog, and I was like, "Damn it, this man is pure."
No one stays pure in this country, man. No, no,
When even your water is brown, I guess you have a point.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
I mean, that's how we cope, man. That's how we cope with all this with humor. That's how we do it. That's all we have left. Humor.
So, like, uh, during the week, how much water do you get? Like,
We only get running water from Wednesday afternoon to until Sunday morning.
Wednesday afternoon till Sunday morning.
Hmm.
Jeez.
And the other days we don't have running water, so we ration the little tank we have at the building. So we get 1 hour from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. and sometimes, if there's water, a little bit in the afternoon if there's enough to.
Someone is asking what skills do you have or qualifications?
Well, I do have a shitty computer degree. It's not computer science because I wanted to study computer science, but I'm in Venezuela. Come on, it's Venezuela. So I have a shitty equivalent, a lesser version of it. But I've never exercised in my career because by some dumb luck, I call it a miracle, call it fate, destiny, I don't know, a series of events happened and I ended up working at an embassy for a few
H-
years.
What did you do at the embassy?
I started as the secretary of the consular section, like you know, making visas, consular documents, that all that implies.
So you were like the
And
papers, please, of Venezuela,
I
right?
was basically, but I actually bought papers, please, because of my job. That's how
No way.
I
No
actually
way.
have it because of my job. Like, oh my god, this is my job. This is me. Pa-
Fucking
pa-
perfect.
yeah. Exactly the same. I started like that, but we were severely understaffed, and I ended up being the ambassador's assistant. And I also helped with translations, non-official ones, because I don't have I am not a sworn translator. I don't have an official translator, you know,
License.
degree license. There's actually a license for that. Uh,
License. I'm
yeah,
so,
yeah.
I'm
Oi,
sorry.
mate. Oi,
Yeah.
mate. Where's your translator's license? That's, it's actually a thing. It's actually a thing for official documents. And I had to do a multitude of things, and it just drained me, man. It's just with just one salary, and then when my boss got replaced,
They
and
replaced you.
they replaced my boss. And you are expected, well, because you are expected they change your boss and these kind of things, you are expected to get the fuck out, so the new boss can have his own staff. That's
Jeez.
basically that's basically what I did. I resigned because, but I was really tired, man. I mean, we were severely understaffed, and I had to do so many things with just one salary, and I mean, it was decent, but it drained me, man. It drained me completely. And after that, I've been working freelance, doing computer stuff here and there, and now I'm e-vegging, and I'm eating thanks to you guys and thanks to all my patrons. It's the only reason me and my brother are eating. The only reason I was able to buy meds for my mom and find chemo and all that stuff.
Do you want to like thank your Patreons or whatever? Feel free. I mean,
I don't really like to shield myself that much. It's in my pinned tweet, in my Twitter.
I put your pinned tweet in the description, so by law, you're allowed to chill as much as you want, man.
I
I'm
mean,
not
my
even putting my own shit in the description. This is all you.
my Patreon is patreon.com/ccaleb, and my PayPal is ccaleb@gmail.com.
Mhm.
And that's pretty much the only two ways I have right now of getting help. I mean,
So
even if it's just $1, it goes a long way. And for my Patreons, since I don't have any form of rewards, all I always tell them, if they want to play video games or they want to help, just a chat, or they want me to help translating, feel free to ask and nag me about it. But in lieu of actual rewards, what I give them is my honesty. Every month, I give them my statements, so they know exactly how much I spent and what did I spend.
not
That's
going to hookers and blow.
yeah, exactly.
So like I'm just like fascinated, and I hope you don't mind me just dissecting your life like a the test subject or whatever, like an experiment. But like, tell me more about like this revolution that happened recently, or what that revolt was all about.
Which one?
I hate the fact that you have to say which one.
I mean,
The most recent one.
you're calling the protests of last year, or the actual Bolivarian revolution from the government?
Um, the one that you wrote about and that you got tear gassed in is the one I'm thinking of.
Which one? I mean,
You got tear gassed more than once?
okay, yeah, okay. That was part of the last year's protests.
Okay, thank God. I was like, if you got tear gassed more
Uh,
than once,
oh
fuck.
man, fuck man, I almost crashed that day my mom's car and everything.
What
Every time.
happened that day?
So like I was taking my mom to chemo,
Mm-hmm.
and when we were crossing the street, there was one of the protests was happening nearby, and the protesters were running away, and the tear gas was started to fly, and everyone started to panic, and I had to go on reverse, and I almost crashed because the guy behind me started to panic also, and I started to. It was insane. It was really insane because kind of surreal. We made it out safe and sound, and I have to drive to another place, to another street, to arrive to the hospital where my mom was getting chemo back then. And a day later, when she was getting her second round for that chemo, there was another protest nearby, and some of the people hid inside the hospital. And the pro-government militias and the collectivos started to shoot at the hospital. So they
Jesus
gone.
Christ, what?
Yes, yes. I actually post some pictures. It was back the 4th of July of 2017. I won't forget the date. They
I
actually
think I
gone down.
remember.
They gone down the whole entrance of.
God damn.
Yeah, man. I mean,
Okay, I have to ask. You know what? You're familiar with the Western Antifa and their logos, right?
mhm.
Is there any of that crap down there, or is it like really like is Venezuela like a separate sort of world from all your stuff?
No, no. The Antifa as a whole, there is an Antifa because who the fuck has money to buy black expensive clothing and masks and expensive designer shoes to protest whatever the fuck Antifa is protesting right now? But
Yeah,
no, no, no. But as part of the government's narrative, they are the anti-fascists and the opposition is the fascists. If you
it,
oppose the government, you are a fascist. That's how it works. How things work here.
yeah. You said you had like a far left and like a center left, and that was it.
Yeah, yeah. That's it. That's all we have. There's no right wing party. The last actual right wing like real right wing government was a dictatorship back in the 50s, and he actually did, even though he was a dictator that tortured people and was kind of cruel and this whole thing. It was the best thing we had because he actually got stuff done. Yeah, it's sad, but it's true.
It and that's like a really interesting part of this. Like, I'm looking deep into the United Kingdom and all the stuff like that. Like, I've found connections from government organizations to like the Freemasons
Hmm.
and shit like that. I don't want to go into it much right now. I have an article coming out. I talk about it then, but like to see a like your country like I guess civil society and NGOs in the George Soros types really don't have any interest down there because they already have the left leaning government that they're shooting for with these, you know.
Yeah, I suppose. But we were the paradise when we were rich and happy and everything with the oil bonanza. Because as much as the government likes to shit on the United States on Bush because of the Iraq War, and they became rich thanks to it. I mean, the oil prices were so absurdly high, and there was so much money here, man, so much money that they stole and wasted. But they did use a lot of it in to buy influence the whole region. I mean, we bailed Argentina, we bailed Nicaragua, we bailed Bolivia, Cuba, all the little islands. It's all part of the whole meta political game of buying influence,
Mhm.
and it adds up. It adds up because when you have UN boats and you have UNASUR boats and CELAC boats and whatever it is, you name it, the boat trading happens between countries. I mean, I was part of it. I wrote so many letters regarding that. People, the countries trade boats, they trade favors. When it comes to come to when regions start to gather up and come up with okay, let's address the Venezuelan situation. They start claiming those favors. Like Bolivia will always support the government because we gave so much money to Bolivia and the current Bolivian government. Nicaragua is the same case. We veiled Nicaragua's electricity a few years ago, and the same with the Caribbean. They gave cheap oil to the Caribbean in exchange of their undying support and loyalty, and that's how it works. That's how that's how they use the oil checkbook and the oil bonanza to secure the influence in the whole region.
Holy crap! I had you on just because you were like a Venezuelan, but then I found out you work for the embassy, and damn, you,
Uh,
you, you're like a cereal box with a prize inside. Holy shit!
I mean, yeah, you have to hide your power level and everything, but like I
Jesus,
said, all I wanted to do was play video games. I mean, and then my whole world just fell around me, and that's all I wanted to do. Actually, that's all.
I said the same thing to myself after I showed up in a Media Matters for America article because of some work I did with Lauren Southern on South Africa. Like, I was so excited to see that I made it into a George Soros organization article.
I mean, I made it in Fortune magazine because of the WoW gold tweet, and I'm like, oh my god.
Oh wait, that's
Well,
really that
yeah,
was
yeah,
real.
yeah,
You're not just bullshitting. I'm gonna have to look that up afterwards.
it's not the actual magazine, but their website, Fortune,
Yeah, I
fortune.com.
get it.
That's why I joke about it on my profile ever since, and Fox News and all that shit.
So yeah, someone in the chat is saying, how does Venezuela maintain their support?
They do have they still have oil revenue. I mean, like I said, the government has complete control. I mean, as long as they can maintain control, they don't care who they sell what. That's how it.
I okay, so I think I get it. So if the outside world is normal and there's like an inflow of like money and stuff coming into your country, and you're like another point on this whole spectrum, but when the money flow gets to the government, they just do all their fucking shit with it, and you guys get nothing.
Pretty much.
Fuck.
Uh, they say the money goes to social programs, but it's all part of a systematic form of control. I mean,
I don't call
yes.
child gangs social programs.
Well, but let's say the housing programs they have, the commie blocks, they have built so many commie blocks around the whole country. And I say commie blocks because they're actually commie blocks. You know, that kind of standardized block-like building
Oh
where
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I know what you're
They
talking about.
but it's all part of the control because they have given it to the poor, but they will never own the actual property of it. The state owns it, and
Just like South Africa.
they sign a paper saying, yeah, yeah, you live there, whatever, etc. But they will never own it, so they will keep you in check because I gave you your house, I gave you your subsidized box of food, and those boxes are just a mess, man. They give
So
a few. I've taken pictures of it before. They give you a subsidized box of pasta, a few things, but no meat, no nothing like that. For example, the milk from it, I tried it once, and it gave me diarrhea. That's how low quality it
fuck.
is. But yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, and then you find articles explaining that kind of milk is so shitty that it causes that in some people
Oh
because
god.
it's just fat. It's an actual. It's not real milk. It's like that Simpsons episode, Milk, now with vitamin R.
Oh
Same
yeah,
shit. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The Simpsons episode. I remember.
Yeah, yeah. It's pretty much the same thing.
Oh my god.
But that's how you keep the poor in check. That's how you keep them. And some of the government officials have said it openly in the past.
Like
The idea is to keep you poor, to make you need us, so you will never rebel against us. That
crap.
I mean, yeah, yeah, man. It's all part of a whole machinery of propaganda, of control, of subjugation. That it's very complex matter, man. I mean, they play the card right. I have to applaud them. They did it. They took control of the country. Like, bravo, you destroy the country. Now you own it. Good job. That's it.
Is the paper that the money is made of more valuable than the actual money?
Yeah, man. I mean, uh, the coins are worth more than the actual value of the coins. If you melt the coin and somehow manage to extract the nickel and materials from it, you actually make quite a decent profit.
Holy crap. Okay. So next question. What countries would you consider immigration to?
I mean, at this point, anything. I mean, I'm looking for help. The first one that offers me concrete help, that's where I'm going. Doesn't
Uh,
matter which one. It doesn't matter which one at this point, except Cuba or something like that, where I'd be persecuted. But right now, that's all I'm asking. I'm asking for help to get the hell away from this to get my brother away from this, because that's what I promised my mother. I promised I would make a future for him. That's what I intend to do. But I'm asking for help, you know, be it a job, or if I have to apply as a refugee or asylum. I'm open to anything right now. But that's how desperate I am from getting away from all of this.
You said you were a child of 6.
I was like, what?
You said your mother raised 6 kids?
No, my grandmother.
Grandmother. Oh, okay.
I I only have one brother, and my mother lost one, and she had a miscarriage, and then was my brother, and I have a half sister, but that's a whole other matter with my Italian black family, and that I don't really. They are not really fond of me. I mean, that's why I shit on the whole Italian thing, because they were very racist against me and my mother. Because
Uh,
mhm,
I just love how you say black, like with
Italian
such
Italians are black, dude. I mean,
Jesus. Like you just put such an interesting emphasis on the black part that just makes me laugh.
why can't they admit that they are not white? Italians aren't white. Italians are black. I mean, everyone knows it.
Yeah, I mean, there's like there's your story going on here, and then there's like the overarching story of your fucking country is a meme, and I found that like an interesting marriage of these two things.
Oh man, like I said, when I escaped from all of this, and I have my book series, established and everything, because I'm planning. It's a large project, like I said, my fiction project is a very large one. Also writing my autobiography, I guess.
Yeah,
Like,
you better write a biography, or else
memoirs of a Venezuelan pariah, I guess. That's what I have planned for a title right now.
you better fucking do it because this is like a crucial moment in your history, and since your all other sources of information are pretty much suppressed, you have an obligation as a citizen to do so. And
Yeah,
that is just my opinion, but
and it's a unique case for me because, like I said, I've always been kind of a social outcast. I've never been a normie, so to speak.
I ran around as pressed for it to continue. You want to talk about social outcasts?
No, because I mean, when I grew up, they skipped me out of preschool, and I straight into first grade. I don't know why at this point, because apparently by the time I was 4, I was already reading and writing, and they said preschool was a waste of time for me. So that
I
that
went through
kind
the
of
same bullshit. I know what you
that
mean.
kind of had the opposite effect, that I always was younger than my classroom. So I was
Hmm.
always, separate, because everyone grew up, was already growing up, and I was still little, that kind of social dynamism that, yeah, whatever.
I went through that bullshit for years. They had like they identified kids as quote unquote gifted, you know, the artists
Yeah,
of
yeah,
the
yeah.
classroom, and
Hmm.
they basically just took them out of the room and made them do advanced math, and it basically creates this psychological separation of otherness that they didn't really take into account back then.
Yeah, it's a complicated matter, but whatever. But it's in the past now. There's nothing I can do about it. But
The gifted teacher I had was such a bitch. Like she I still remember this one kid, smartest motherfucker around, like bright as a light bulb, and one day he didn't do his homework and he fucking had a breakdown once the teacher confronted him about it, like because she
mhm.
was such a bitch. He was afraid of how she would react, and like he instilled the or she instilled this fear in him, and that is just like damn.
Jeez.
Way to utilize giftedness, huh?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what were
Well,
we talking about?
I don't know. My country is a meme, and I
uh,
want to get off Mr. Socialism's wild ride.
yeah, I want to make sure like this thumbnail is basically like your Twitter banner and your Twitter profile picture, and then I put overlaid on the Twitter banner. I put your flag. Is
Hmm.
that okay, or is the
Uh,
government gonna bust a nut and
no,
basically?
no, no, I don't think they care.
Okay, okay.
Mhm.
So, does anyone have any other questions they want to ask him? Because if not, I mean, we could shoot the shit for like 20 more minutes. Italy is not black. Okay.
It all is black mark. I mean, come on, admit it. Just face it, embrace it. I mean, don't let people use it as a weapon. Just embrace your blackness as an
Mm,
Italian.
mm. God damn. I mean, if we talk about migrants and refugees, we'd be here for like 6 hours.
Hmm.
Oh my god. I mean, talking to you is kind of refreshing in that respect.
And
Given
that's like another thing. Everyone in the region doesn't want to get their hands dirty with the whole migrant Venezuela migrant mess because it is a mess. But
it, it is.
in the end, no one really wants that mess in their hands. And I understand it. I mean, they have to go for their country's own interests, but they can no longer deny it. I mean, their whole silence was a bit of an instrumental in causing making this all go so wrong. Because they remained silent for so long, and now we're facing the consequences.
Mm.
And
With the
that's the
U,
thing. The government doesn't want to admit that we have a crisis, a migrant, humanitarian, all of those, because they say we're fine, everything's happy, we are a happy country, and it's just an excuse from America and the imperialist speaks that they want to use it as an excuse to invade us, and
I don't mean to offend you, but like, if a refugee arrives in Venezuela, is it better or worse?
well. I suppose if he's escaping from a war-torn country, like his house blew up, his family got killed. I suppose, but the way I wouldn't recommend him here. I would actually tell him to go elsewhere because
You basically just say refugees turn around instead of refugees welcome.
yeah. I mean, they're welcome if they want to come here. I mean, if they want
Good
to,
luck.
but if they want to find peace with themselves, they're not gonna find it here. They won't find it. Not with all that's going on, and mm.
Okay, so there's some interesting questions. Have you given your thoughts on the strike on Syria by the UK, USA, and France?
Nothing beyond. I
Do you
mean,
give a hoot?
I can't say I agree with striking Syria right now, but I haven't looked too much into the matter to make a qualified judgment. But
I know the answer to why there's so many interests in Syria, and it involves pipelines and bullshit like that.
I don't know. I mean, I suppose if they prove that Assad actually did the whole chemical attack, whatever, if there's actual tangible proof, then perhaps okay, maybe. But right now, I don't have all the information to make a qualified.
My opinion is we've already done this song and dance last year about chemical warfare and all that, and it's right when the U.S. says it's about ready to leave, and I have to agree with the naysayers that this is some bullshit and there's
Yeah,
there's some crap going on.
I mean, I'm not defending the Syrian regime or neither defending or attacking, but I don't know. I don't know. Something's shady. I just with all that's happening with Venezuela, I really haven't had time to, you know, inform myself with the whole current Syrian mm, situation. But if we're talking about chemical things, the government was using expired tear gas last year, and expired tear gas is actually dangerous.
How?
Because apparently when the tear gas expires, it becomes more dangerous. The substances they can actually become an actual health hazard to those affected.
Oh, you mean like the chemical bullshit like reacts or something?
Yeah, something. That's what they were saying. A few media outlets were claiming a year ago that they were using expired tear gas, and that goes against the actual laws or whatever when it comes to.
I don't think your government has your best interest in mind.
No, no, no. I mean, like I said, as long as they can keep their little power, the little empire of dirt, they don't care what other people say or they don't care what other people do.
Not a question, but I really hope you get some help for you and your bro. Well, thank you, Mike Tortoise. I'm sure Nick, you know Spanish a little bit. Yeah, I took 3 years of Spanish in high school, but it's not going to serve a lick out here. I mean, if Caleb started busting out some Espanol, I'd be able to catch the gist of what he's saying, but I would basically just be useless.
The thing is, my Spanish is actually a mix of the Maracaibo Spanish and the Caracas Spanish, and
Oh, really?
it's kind of a hybrid mess because Caracas Spanish is a bit more slow, but the Maracaibo Spanish is completely different and uses different pronunciation, and it's more vulgar because we swear a lot in Maracaibo. We have the word, our word for cock is verga, but verga can mean anything. Like it's the most malleable. That's like our superpower to transform the word verga into whatever the hell we need at any given moment.
So
And
you're like the Spanish.
somebody asked if there's cannibals in Venezuela. There's been cases of cannibalism.
Wait, what?
No, no, no. Somebody was arrested recently because he was killing people and eating them.
What?
For
It's
for
gotten to
real.
cannibalism?
Like for real, that there is a known case that happened a few days ago.
Like, was the dude crazy, or
Yeah,
was?
yeah, the dude was crazy, and he attacked his victims, killed them, and then he ate them.
I was gonna say if he was just hungry, I'd be really worried.
Damn, man. I got flack for mature content on Twitter because I posted a photo of people flaying a dog alive to eat them.
Well, I guess I shouldn't be surprised that you guys are eating dogs, but because of the whole cannibalism thing. But wow,
Yeah, man. Uh,
and that goes back into the whole South Korea, North Korea thing with eating they eat dogs and shit over there.
I mean,
So
like I said, I'm only eating thanks to my patrons, and I will always be grateful for that. But things are. There are people that are considerably less unfortunate than I am right now, and they're going through a severe crisis because they don't have nothing to eat, nothing to feed their children. I mean, the whole country, our society has devolved so much, and it's gonna take years to fix all this.
do you know the arm in the arms of an angel like infomercial song?
Nah, I'm not
It-
sure. I don't think so.
Did you see Mr. Medicare's most recent video about bully hunters?
Uh huh.
It's that song at the beginning.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, Venezuela, like from the outside looking in, like you could make one of those for Venezuela and it'd make sense.
I suppose. I mean,
Jesus, man, I'd want to like just go over there to your country now and just get you out. Like, if I could, I
just
would.
send a helicopter and carry me away, man. I mean, on a personal note, man. I mean, I'm really tired of everything. I just want a happy ending already for my brother. With everything that's happened with my mom and all. I mean, there comes a point where you just say you just have enough. That's enough. And I had enough. And I had enough, and I just want to get the hell away from here. And yes, once I'm in a better position, I will find a way to help people. I mean, I've met so many talented people in this country over the past year, and they're in the same position. And I would love to help them get away and so they can fulfill their dreams. I mean, from artists to writers, and they are young people, man, going through the same thing.
I
They
have to
should.
worry. I have to worry about the UK government killing my friends. So I know you feel about wanting to just, you know, you've had enough fighting for one lifetime.
Damn, man. I mean, I still have a lot to do in this world, but sometimes you just want to sit down and be able to take a deep breath and say, God damn, I'm finally at relaxed. I'm finally at peace.
I want to be
Because
real with you. When I saw everyone that turned up to my Twitter funeral, like Scrump put out like a tweet
yeah,
basically, paying his respects, and then like all these people showed up, and like I was like, how the hell did I make an impact on all these people?
That's
And
that's how that's what happened with me, man. Sorry that I interrupted you. And when I posted about my mom dying, I got over 1,000 replies, and I got ratio. I got the ratio. But that's the kind of ratio when you really want to get ratio, because that gave me so much strength, so much inspiration. So many people saying that I inspire them, and people from across the globe send me DMs saying, "Man, you're an inspiration. I hope you keep going." I mean, that gave me so much strength that I was able to go through all these days.
I'm
I
glad you interrupted me because I feel like that's what we have in common here, despite our international separation here.
that really gets to my heart, man. That somebody tells you that you are an inspiration to them. Then that's all that I wanted to do. That's the only thing I wanted to do. Yes.
Uh,
And it really gives me hope and gives me the willpower and strength to keep going after all I've been through this last month.
I know, like I know that feel, and I don't mean that. I mean that in the meme way, but in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
good
yeah.
meme way. I know that feel. Like, I mean, my friends, Brittany, Lucy, Lauren. I mean, they all, got the word out about my band, and then like, Jesus, even people like I did stories for, like Ethan Van Sciver, and Ian showed up, and it's like, Jesus, these people actually give a fuck. And then someone wrote an article saying no one gave a fuck about me being banned from Twitter, and then like I'm like, that's bullshit. I had a full on thousands love me Ralph moment. You remember when the Ralph retort said that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thousands love me. Well, damn.
But
I,
yeah, yeah, man. I mean, it really warms my heart. I mean, to know that so many people, so many strangers that you have never seen in your life actually care for you, and that you have made up, at least even if you have made the slightest impact, but you have actually helped them inspire. You have inspired somebody. I mean, that's all I wanted to do, man. That's all I wanted to. Besides playing video games, that's all I wanted to do. Be a hero in a way, in some way, in some form.
I, I wish there was like, there's not a name for this sort of feeling. Like, like I just want to capture that feeling into like a bottle and just keep it for a rainy day. you know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even somebody from France told me to send me a photo that I put a candle for your mother, and we are praying for your mother, and that's the kind of thing that's something that goes beyond words, man. I don't have words to explain how grateful I am that to all of
Solidarity is
them.
close. Solidarity is a close word. I
I
mean,
suppose, I suppose, yeah.
but it's like transcendent of that word. Like, there's no word for it, man. Like, it's just this feeling,
Hmm.
and like, it's hard for me to be mad about my Twitter account after like seeing so many people give a fuck. Like, the a Twitter account's just a Twitter account. I mean,
I mean, everyone's getting suspended, so whatever.
yeah. I mean,
Uh,
like, I hope you never get suspended. If you do, fucking call me and
no, 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 no.
I'll raise hell.
Man.
So let's look and see if there's any more questions. What those government do with people who try to flee the country? I think we already they let them, right?
They let them, but they don't make it easy for them.
What do you mean? Like, what kind of opposition do people
Like,
face?
let's say you have to get your passport. Is the most important thing. You need a passport, and getting a passport here is a fucking nightmare unless you know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy that if you pay them, bribe them, then maybe they can get it easy for you. But getting your documents in order so you can get out is a fucking mess. It's a fucking nightmare. It's a disaster. Just to get that fucking apostille stamp on your documents, and I have to do some of those things still. I was in the process of helping my mom with her
Hmm.
documents first. Because she had 5 or 6 degrees, medical degrees, and they had to do everything 6 times over. It's-
For real?
yeah, yeah, one for each one.
God.
And we were in the process of doing that first, so we could move on with my brother and my documents when she started to feel more sick. But I still have to go to some of that. Like I said, I have to get some of my documents in order, and the government doesn't make it easy.
How long of a process does it take?
I mean, back when I was making apostilles for that embassy, it takes 5 minutes to put a fucking stamp and have your boss sign it. That's all. But here, you have to sign up through a fucking website that never loads. That you have to wake up at like 3 a.m. to see and pray, and the stars align, and the server actually lets you in to get an appointment to see if maybe we'll wait in line to see if maybe for a few months. Like I said, unless you know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy, that's how you
Oh
get
my
things.
god.
Yeah, yeah. And now they have this new thing that they want you to sign up through Twitter for an appointment.
Through
Give
Twitter.
to give them your Twitter handle. There's no fucking way I'm gonna do that, man. Absolutely no fucking way. And I know there's a few Venezuelans in chat that have the same sentiment as I am. There's no fucking way I'm gonna give the Foreign Affairs Ministry my fucking Twitter handle. So
Just the fucking background check guy. I can just
uh huh.
imagine his face. Yeah, Owen, I'm from Ohio. I'm an Ohio boy. I live up north by the lake. I actually can just go out and just basically touch the lake whenever I want. That's how close to the lake I am.
That's nice, man.
Yeah, it's fucking windy all the time, but it's nice. And wow, like Jesus, you describing the whole process of this passport thing, like it sounds like such a ball buster.
Everything is, man, everything. And that's the passport. And now, let's say you need to apostille your let's say your university degrees and all that. Everything is a fucking nightmare, man. Not because nothing works the way it should.
Yeah, and if people fucking donate to you and then like the inflation happens, then like what the fuck do you do?
Hmm.
You got to be like a math wizard.
And we are not Venezuelans are not known for our progress in math. I mean, I'm really terrible at math. That's
So,
my
like if you would have to like take the total cost of getting the hell out of Venezuela and then include the rate of inflation is assuming inflation happens at a consistent rate.
That's what's keeping most people here. I mean, how can you leave the country when you don't have money to pay for all of this? To pay the guy that gets your passport, to pay the guy that gave for your documents, to pay the visa fees for whatever country it is that you're going. That's the kind of things that complicate everything in overall in the end.
And I love it how we kind of just circled around back to this, like our conversation went off so off course that we just kind of went straight back to the point.
Hmm.
So percentage, like two final questions I have. Percentage wise, how many people do you think want to stay in Venezuela? Like anyone that isn't the government wants to leave?
Pretty much, I suppose. I mean,
Hmm.
there has to be because there is it a few percentage of people that actually believe in all of this. Yeah. No, no, no. It's true because I mean there are parts in the country where the only TV signal they get is the state TV. That's
Hmm.
that's the only information they have. There's people that for real actually believe in the whole revolution and everything is a plan for the Trump and the empire, the U.S. empire, because they call it the empire and so that they want to wage war against Venezuela, that we are at war against them, that they want our oil, blah 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 blah, blah all of that, all that fucking nonsense. There's people that actually believe it. The other type of people is the government. The the, the kind of people has been sanctioned by pretty much every, and they can't go anywhere. And you have people that are like, for example, me, that I want to live. I love my country. It's a beautiful country. We have natural wonders like you have no idea for such a small country. But there comes a point where the country takes so many things from you and gives you nothing in return. What can you do? So you just pack your things, leave, and start over. Starting over is never easy. I
Hell
mean,
no.
but that's all. That's the only choice you have left if you want to, if you want to live.
So you guys are past the point of rebellions, and you're just into the point of accepting.
Yeah, because the opposition basically betrayed the protesters. There is no leadership. There is no central. Our problem as a region is that we are very dependent on the messianic figure that's gonna fix everything. Oh, let's rally around it. But sometimes you do need someone to stand or to coalesce around, and we don't have nobody. We don't have nobody to actually support.
Oh
But
yeah, with the Western movement, we have Tommy Robinson, Martin Sellner, stuff like that.
yeah, but here you don't have nobody left. There's no one left to oppose the government as a whole. There's no group, there's no organization, and if they tell you that they don't, the actual the current opposition is not gonna let anyone rise up above them and become the new opposition. They need to stay as the leadership because they need to maintain their status quo with the government, and the government is not gonna make it easy for anyone to rise up and become a new figurehead.
And I guess the last question I have kind of plays into this. What kind of psychological impact did this shit have on you? Like just your country?
I don't know, man. You to say that it doesn't take something from you, all of this, it's a lie. Like I say, no one stays pure in this disaster. No, nobody. And I suppose I do need some kind of evaluation after all of this because I mean I don't know, man. It's been so much, one thing after another, and I have no idea how the fuck have I stayed sane, if I am sane at all. I don't know. I can't tell you.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know that feel. I mean, I just say I already snapped years ago, and then I just kind of put myself back together.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm just trying to stay strong, I guess. I suppose I have a brother to take care of. I promise my mom I will always take care of, and that's the only thing keeping me going. Because
I
otherwise,
recommend you do more live streams because you're pretty good at it. I mean, that's how you get your message out there.
yeah, yeah. It's not my first one. I've done a few before, but I suppose I should get the hang of it. I mean, I'm a bit introverted, so I kind of have trouble expressing myself, but I suppose it helps me in the end.
You know what really helped me? You
Hmm?
remember? Do you keep tabs on all the bullshit I get into? Like,
Some of it, I guess.
so there was this situation with someone named Joy Sparkle BS. Did you see me get mauled on the Warski show?
No, no, I can't say I did.
Okay, basically, it was a 3-on-1, and I basically got my ass handed to me, and after that, it's a very humbling thing to just get thrown into the deep end.
I suppose. Somebody saying everybody as well has crippling depression. I mean, that's true. I am fucking depressed, man. My mom just died, and I have chicken pox, and I can't even get sunlight. And a doctor friend told me, for my mother, told me I shouldn't even get sunlight. So, and but I'm just hanging there. I'm somehow able to keep going. I have to keep going.
Oh shit, I forgot. You're like 30, and chickenpox when you're 30 is bad.
Yeah, man. Tell me about it.
I mean, like, are you okay? Like, did you already go through the worst of it, or
Yeah, yeah. I got through the worst already.
cool?
Now
You're not
just
gonna die on me.
no, no, no. But I had a really shitty weekend. I mean, When you add power blackouts to it, I mean, come on.
Mm.
Yeah.
I hope this live stream cheers you up a bit, though.
Yeah.
How about you, chat? Did I do okay? Did Caleb do okay? Evaluate us. But other than that, I think I am out of questions, and we've been going for about an hour and a half. Really. Do you want to show your Patreon and PayPal again?
Well, my Patreon is patreon.com/ccaleb. And my PayPal is ccaleb@gmail.com.
And read this guy's website, because like before doing this live stream show, I read everything I could on his website in relation to Venezuela. You have some other articles too.
Yeah,
Um, but
I've been trying to write a bit more, trying to get back in the hangs of things, but I'll try my best to keep
I
keep.
encourage you to do it because it was very insightful stuff. Like it was worth going through and reading it because I feel like I got an honest cross section of the necessities in terms of your situation. Like I felt like I came into the show with like the basic fundamentals to basically ask questions with and stuff like that. Something that the mainstream media wasn't able to deliver.
Yeah, I'll try to write more often about things in Venezuela, and my overall it's a blog, so I'll try to also post my own personal things, and that's sort of,
The more the merrier. But
and a few things about video games, but that's just more like hobby stuff.
Jesus, I wish I could think about video games anymore.
I haven't played a lot of video games recently, but it's the
I've
only it's the only sane distraction I have because everyone is like in this curfew mode that when the sun is down, things get really dangerous around this part, so you can't really even go outside. So that's the only thing I have, video games. I mean, I don't. I'm not gonna spend my Patreon's money on partying and no, no, I'm not gonna do that. So the only thing I have is video games, and I'm
I,
just trying to make my brother more active, just playing some video games with him, because it's probably if he's just as depressed, it's not more because he's younger and he's a bit autistic and he does miss his mother. He hit him hard, man. He hit him really hard.
if you want a good co-op game, Enter the Gungeon. I forced myself to play it like an hour or two because I got this game years ago and I never fully beat it, but then I just got into this autist sort of mood to just want to try and beat it 100%, and I'm still stuck on the robot. But Enter the Gungeon is a very simple yet very repeatable sort of game that it never really grows old on you.
Yeah, funny that you mention it because that's part of the Matt Myers lore, but it's actually a good game. Enter the Gungeon is a part of the Myers lore. If you didn't knew it, if you're listening and you didn't knew it.
I gotta ask, how does it fit into the Matt Myers lore?
Hmm?
How?
Just shit post with the boys at hashtag Myers Twitter.
Goddamn.
I mean, if you want lore, there's actual lore, but all you need to know is just look at his face, his
I
beautiful bald
technically
head,
can.
and
I technically can, even though I'm banned. I can or
look at his
suspended.
beautiful bald head, and all will be revealed. Once we find the answer to the Myers question as a whole, humanity is going to advance and move forward towards the stars. That's the light that will unite us.
The Matt Myers stuff basically showed me you can meme anything.
That's as far as my Photoshop skills go. Just making Myers memes. That's all.
You can meme anything, and that is the lesson we are going to end the stream on. I would like to thank everyone for showing up to this first live stream. I will do more in the future, probably. I mean, we'll see, but I want to. And Caleb, I thank you for joining me as my first guest.
And thank you for having me in, man. It was a pleasure.
And I feel like we learned a lot about Venezuela tonight.
Yeah, anytime. I mean, if you ever have any questions or anything, just drop by my Twitter or my DMs, and we'll always be answering them ASAP.
It was magical as fuck. Thank
Hmm.
you, everyone. Bye bye. I don't know how to end a live stream, so basically, we're just gonna fumble around awkwardly for the end button for a bit, and then all of a sudden it'll be